that whenever we write a research paper or write a thesis or a dissertation, many a times we are not aware of what we are actually doing. हम कर क्या रहे हैं ये clear नहीं रहता हमारे जहन में, and as such we land up in copying certain material, and at the end of the day we are answerable for what we have done, the consequences, that is punishment, etc. So while doing this, what care we have to take, this is important. And for this reason, we have a term known as plagiarism. How this word has come up, from where this word has come up, and how can we control this, we'll be speaking on this. Now, plagiarism, as what it has been defined, this has been derived from a Latin word which basically means kidnap. Now, initially, it was the word kidnap because of the fact that Roman poet Martial was the first to use this word to explain that some of the verses of his poem were kidnapped. So at that point of time, a raw word was used that it today when we use this word kidnap, it means someone physically being taken over. But slowly and steadily, we switched over and we generated a new word which is known as plagiarism. Now, what plagiarism is all about? It is an act of using someone else's work. My dear colleagues, you remember that somehow or the other, this is somewhere in our blood. Without the knowledge, we had been doing this since class 5. If we go back to the history of our own studies, we find that in a class, teacher used to dictate us questions and answers. We used to learn those questions and answers, and word by word, we used to write in examinations. And that was said to be the best method of passing the examinations. Somehow or the other, this we went on continuing till we reached this, till we passed out the school, and slowly and steadily in our graduations and post graduations also. Now, what we do is we learn from a question answer series, any question, and we reprint the answer in an answer book without knowing that it is complete plagiarism. So it is an act. We use someone else's work and we represent that it is my work. So it is an act of using someone else's work, or it is an act by which you take undue advantage. You say that you are writing your answer in your own words, whereas it is just a representation of the book or a question answer series or the question answers given by a class teacher in your class. We represent word by word the same and say that it is your work, which is plagiarism. It is an act of not giving due credit to the owner. You do not even write. Sometimes we find that people write the definition from a book without even mentioning or quoting or citing or referencing the name of the author, even because of the fact they don't remember. And some move to such an extent that if it is English author, they'll write any Robert, Michael, Clement, anything, and this is his definition, whereas there is no such person exists. So it is an act of not giving due credit to the owner. It is an act of trying to state that it is your own work. This is the biggest blunder we commit. We write from a book, we learn from a book, write the answer word by word, and then we try and prove that it is my own work. This is the biggest blunder we commit. If you have taken, please do quote, cite, don't show that it is your own work, or else you will have to face the music, that is the punishments, etc. It is not the original work of the presenter. As I said, I'll later on discuss also, sometimes some of the students during their school days or college days also, what they had been doing is that their elder sisters or brothers' work, which the elder brother or a sister might have done during their tenure in that particular class, they represent the same in their own name. So it is not the original work of the presenter. Your elder brother or sister might have made a project. You rename yourself and you present that. So basically, plagiarism means copying anything, a word, poem, act, or even an idea. Even if you copy an idea of someone, I had an idea, I was discussing an idea with you, and immediately you write that idea, or you take that idea and use that in front of anyone and say that this is your idea, that amounts to plagiarism. So how it has been defined, I have taken only two definitions, Oxford Dictionary and Wikipedia, not any individual. So it is plagiarism is the practice of taking someone else's work or idea and passing them off as one's own. Now, this is very clear here that it is someone else's idea, correct? And you know that it is someone else's idea and you pass them off and saying that it is your own idea. It involves both stealing someone else's work and at the same time lying approximately in a while. तो एक तो चोरी और ऊपर से सीना चोरी जो कहते हैं कि चोरी भी कर लिया और झूठ भी बोल रहे हैं कि मेरा खुद का काम है. तो चोरी तो किया ही किया है, उसके साथ सीना चोरी और कि ये मेरा काम है. दिस इज व्हाट इज प्लेजरिज्म. According to Wikipedia, again, plagiarism is the representation of another author's language, thoughts, ideas or expressions. यहाँ पे उन्होंने और ज्यादा उसको elaborate किया है that even somebody else's language, thoughts, ideas or expressions as one's own original work. It's not, again and again, I'll repeat here, that it is not that you cannot take, you cannot write anyone else's word. You can, definitely. But at the same time, the blunder which you commit is that you try and prove that it is your own original work. So plagiarism is considered academic dishonesty and a breach of journalistic ethics. Now, in these definitions, few words which I have taken. One is using without giving reasonable and appropriate credit. As I said, is that you cannot use? Yes, we can use. If we are writing the management's definition of fuel or a tailor, we'll have to write fuel or tailor's definition. You can use, nobody stops you from using that. But you have to give appropriate credit to tailor or fuel, that you have to write that you are using his definition. Use of another's work without any attribution, it means the same. And that is why have I taken these words is, see that all these authors present the same thing in their own words. So one was used without giving reasonable and appropriate credit. Somebody said use another's work without attribution. Third, deliberate use of someone else's language. Fourth, appropriating other person's idea. Now, here, why have I taken 4 sentences? That they are trying to explain you the same concept, but in their own words without copying the statement of their earlier presenter. So Yale, Princeton, Brown, whatever they have written, after all, we also have to write. Now, whenever we write, we have to take care of that we are not using anyone else's statement. Just now I was listening to that review of literature of yours. It has been said that you go through once, twice, thrice, 4 times, read a particular article, understand that article, and then write in your own words. But what happens normally is that we read, and by the time we read for the 4th time, we learn and again write the same thing. So that is where we plagiarize. Now, why does this happen? First is easy way. Most of the time, we find a shortcut, easy way. We do not have time. We say, okay, fine, who will understand? Who will come to know? Who has been knowing? I have taken a paper from South. Who will come to know in Nagpur? I have taken a paper of Nagpur. Who will come to know in Punjab? And it is an easy way. You do not want to put in any efforts. And nowadays, this has exceeded to such an extent that people copy a paper from Google and present. And as soon as that is uploaded on Google, we find that 10 people have already copied that paper. So it is an easy way, no efforts. Then lack of awareness. We are not aware of the fact that how, when, and to what extent we can take someone else's material, and at the same time, we are not aware of the fact that we are copying or copying word to word, or as such, we even do not understand that changing one word or 2 words or a sentence or leaving one sentence in between is also plagiarism. So lack of awareness, we do not have the knowledge whether we are plagiarizing or we are not plagiarizing. Then lack of knowledge of the subject. With due regards to some of the commerce art students, I normally find that people write articles and papers on any subject given to them, on any topic related to commerce given to them, whether they are finance students, marketing students, HR students, on any subject without having a deep knowledge of the subject, they start writing a paper, and when they do this, they end up in plagiarizing. So lack of knowledge about the subject, which subject we are talking of, what exactly we are trying to find out, whether we are capable of that or not, whether we have a complete command over that or not. If you are missing all these, then you tend to copy. Then comes poor language skills. This is one major problem in our country. We have different languages, and sometimes when we are short of words, we tend to copy. So when you do not have a complete language skill, that is, if you do not have a complete command over the language, then we end up in copying. अब हिंदी से अंग्रेजी नहीं आ रही, अंग्रेजी से हिंदी नहीं आ रही, हिंदी से मराठी में लिखना वो नहीं आ रहा, तो बहुत सारे समय पे ऐसा होगा कि हम अंग्रेजी में ही पेपर लिख के प्रेजेंट कर देंगे, और अंग्रेजी में जब पेपर लिख के प्रेजेंट कर देंगे तो फिर वो हम कॉपी ही कर लेंगे, क्योंकि हमारी लैंग्वेज कमांड शायद अंग्रेजी पे कमजोर हो, मराठी पे बेटर हो, मराठी पे कमजोर हो, हिंदी पे बेटर हो, हिंदी पे कमजोर हो, इंग्लिश पे बेटर हो. तो when you are short of words, when you have a poor language skills, which word is to be used where, you tend to copy. Then this point, no moral integrity. This is one point which has been challenged many a times. I have a few people known to me who have copied a complete paper of their own friend sitting next to them without their knowledge and sent it for publication abroad. So no moral integrity. This is important. If you have a moral integrity, I believe rest of the things you will take care of. Then shortage of time and other pressures. My personal observation over a period of 40 years of my career as an academician is, whenever any organization announces a webinar or a seminar, or it announces that it is going to publish a book, you have to submit your paper within 30 days. It gives you a 30 days time, that the last date for submitting the paper is 31st July. On 28th, 29th, all of a sudden you'll come up and say, oh, I have forgotten to write a paper. I have to present a paper. And as such, due to the shortage of time and other pressures, you again tend to copy. आखिरी दिन अगर हम कोई काम करेंगे, आखिरी दिन तक रोक के रखेंगे, और फिर जब मेरे पास समय नहीं रहेगा, तो ना क्वालिटी होगी पेपर उसमें और ना मेरी ओन वर्ड्स होंगे, क्योंकि जो मुझे 30 दिन का टाइम दिया था, 28 दिन तो मैंने कुछ किया ही नहीं. And as such, shortage of time and other pressures will lead to copying. And then finally, high ambitions through shortcuts. Academics में ये बहुत ज़्यादा problem आ चुका है. People have very high ambitions. Sometimes you find that some of the teachers will tell you they have written 250 papers, 500 papers. पता नहीं ये इतने 500 पेपर अपने टॉपिक पे लिख कहाँ से लेते हैं. अगर आपका स्पेशलाइजेशन है, एक टॉपिक, 2 टॉपिक, 3 टॉपिक्स भी हों, तो भी कितने पेपर्स आप लिखेंगे. लेकिन दिखाने के लिए समाज में हाई एम्बिशंस, that I am a very good academician, I have so many papers presented under pressures, so I start using shortcuts and end up again plagiarizing. So these are various reasons, and there may be n number of such reasons, but these are some of the reasons why people tend to copy, that is plagiarize. Now, these are some of the plagiarism types which we are not aware of. First, starting from lowest, the complete plagiarism. In a complete plagiarism, you copy from the first word till the last word, including full stops, commas, brackets, etc. Everything. That is a complete borrowing. As I said, word by word, what we used to do in our schools, as I said, that we used to learn the complete answer from the first word till the last word we used to write. Howsoever, we were not trying to prove that it was your work, but this habit has led us to such a situation that even if we are doing PhDs or writing research papers, we sometimes tend to copy complete. As I said, this complete copying can be your own brother's or sister's work even. which you represent in your own name. So you copy the complete. So this is a complete, wherein you leave nothing, not even the title, subtitle. Sometimes people change a minor word, but that is into a complete copy. So complete plagiarism is wherein you copy the complete part as is, where is. Then comes a direct plagiarism. In direct plagiarism, with minor change, that is, you change the topic, you change the name or the title of the topic, but as such, rest of the material is absolutely the same. We have the tendency of leaving one or two sentences in between, and we say that we have not copied. See here, these are the sentences. I have not taken those sentences. But that is what is known as a complete or a direct, or rather, I should say, direct plagiarism. Then comes accidental. In accidental, again, as we say, that we are not aware of. Now, we are not aware of means by mistake. मुझे पता ही नहीं था कि मैं इसका भी, इसने भी इस पे पेपर लिखा हुआ है. मुझे तो पता ही नहीं था ये किसका पेपर है. तो जब आपके सामने कोई भी कागज आया, आपको पता नहीं था, तो आपको लेना ही नहीं चाहिए. You shouldn't have taken it at all if you are not aware of the fact. So accidental plagiarism occurs when you are not aware of anything and still you copy that. Then comes source-based plagiarism. This is slightly tricky to understand. With this kind of a plagiarism, the writer might cite their sources correctly, but present the source in a misleading way. एक छोटा सा उदाहरण देता हूं मैं. Sometimes we write in our thesis some definition of Philip Kotler. We are copying not from a Philip Kotler book, but we are copying from a book of S.M. Shukla or any other author. In that, he has cited that he has taken this definition from Philip Kotler. We also cite the same. Whereas when he was citing that, he misprint some of the words. Now you have done the same. So source-based, the source which he has given you may be wrong. If that is wrong, then you have also plagiarized and committed the same blunder. So sometimes some of the authors, when they write research papers, they write the source, but that is a misleading source. Correct? Instead of writing a primary source, he'll say that he has derived from a secondary source. So where the credit is source-based also. So sometimes you also copy from a different book and copy the same source. Because the original source was misleading, you have also been misled by that source. So do not copy from that. Correct? Then comes patchwork. Now this patchwork, also known as mosaic. Correct? This is also known as mosaic plagiarism. This refers to instances where plagiarized work is interwoven in the writer's original work. Patches के बारे में आपको खुद जैसे word होगा, या mosaic के बारे में जैसे आपको है. That is, the kind of plagiarism can be easy to miss, and it may happen in conjunction with this. What happens is, you take one paragraph from one place, another paragraph, leave 2-3 paragraphs, another fourth paragraph, you make it as second, then fifth paragraph as third, and then second paragraph as fifth. So this kind of a plagiarism is what is known as a patchwork. Mixing, matching, and shifting, and say that no, this is not the research paper which I have copied. So that is a kind of an embedding. जैसे कहते हैं ना, अगर आप मोज़ैक फ्लोरिंग के बारे में आपको मालूम हो, तो एक अलग लाल कलर का दाना, एक काले कलर का दाना, एक सफेद कलर का मोज़ैक फ्लोरिंग करते हैं ना अपन, पैचवर्क. तो you are embedding one paragraph in between of someone else's paper, then again his complete paper, then someone else's paper, one paragraph in between. This is how people have normally started doing. दो रिसर्च पेपर उठा लीजिए, एक पैराग्राफ उसका, एक पैराग्राफ इसका, एक पैराग्राफ उसका, एक पैराग्राफ इसका. This is what is known as patchwork or mosaic plagiarism. Then self plagiarism. ये हमको पता ही नहीं चलता कि प्लेजरिज्म इसको भी कहते हैं. बहुत सारे लोगों को एक आदत है कि एक रिसर्च पेपर ले लिया, लिख लिया, ओरिजिनल लिखा होगा, बिल्कुल बहुत अच्छा लिखा होगा, आपका बहुत अच्छा काम होगा, आपने उसको पब्लिश करवा लिया. 4 लोगों ने उसकी तारीफ कर दी कि ये बहुत अच्छा पेपर लिखा है. अब हम उसका टाइटल बदल देंगे, 2 सेंटेंस बदल देंगे और फिर किसी दूसरी जर्नल में पब्लिश करवा लेंगे. फिर उसके 2-3 शब्द बदल लेंगे, 2-4 वर्ड बदल लेंगे, टाइटल बदल लेंगे और फिर उसको तीसरे में पब्लिश करवा लेंगे. This is also wrong, despite the fact that it is your own work. You are not copying from anyone else, but you are copying from yourself is also plagiarism. Please beware. ये नहीं कि मेरा ही काम है तो मैंने कैसे कॉपी कर लिया, आपने कॉपी कर लिया, because you have already used that once. एक बार आपने वो पेपर ले लिया, एक बार आपने वो आइडिया पब्लिश करवा लिया, फिर उसी को अगर आप थोड़ा बहुत बदल के दूसरे नाम से फिर पब्लिश करवा रहे हैं तो इट अमाउंट्स टू प्लेजरिज्म. यू हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी केयरफुल हियर दैट सेल्फ प्लेजरिज्म इज ऑल्सो अ प्लेजरिज्म बिकॉज ऑफ द फैक्ट आपका खुद का पेपर है, इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि आप 10 बार उसको कर लें. लास्ट बट नॉट द लीस्ट, पैराफ्रेजिंग. पैराफ्रेजिंग is most commonly used plagiarism in our country as far as PhD theses are concerned. Whenever I go through a PhD thesis, I find that despite the fact that the thesis has been presented well, but it is paraphrased. Now, what is paraphrasing? It happens when the writer reuses another's works and changes a few sentences, phrases. अब आप बोलिए कि हम चेंज तो कर रहे हैं. Yes, you are changing, true. But changing का क्या मतलब होता है? Again, I said that use 5 lines of the author, then 2 lines of yourself, then use 5 lines of the author, 2 lines of yourself, then use 2 words of the author and change 2 words of your own. People say, सर इसमें और हम कर क्या सकते हैं? यही तो करेंगे कि जहां से भी हम पढ़ रहे हैं, तो जिसने पहली बार लिखा था उसने तो अपने वर्ड्स में लिखा था. व्हाट एम आई स्पीकिंग टुडे is that there in any book. If I represent the same the way I am speaking into my research paper, will it be treated as plagiarized? No. But if I read from a book, if I read from an article and go on like people do in PhD presentations, their own presentations, slides which they make, they go on reading. So if you tend to read this and change 1 or 2 sentences, so you are not basically doing anything on your own. It is said that you read completely without using his sentences. If you write, then it is not plagiarism. But what we do is, because of various shortages, as I said, shortage of language skills, shortage of command on the subject, shortage of time, under different pressures, what we do is 5 sentences, change 2 sentences, and what you do is mosaic versus paraphrasing. You mix match them and you end up in copying again. So mosaic flooring or paraphrasing, the difference is in mosaic flooring you take a major chunk of one and major chunk of another. In paraphrasing you copy 1 sentence, 2 sentences, then put in your own sentence, then again copy 1 or 2 sentences, and then you do not cite, quote, or you do not give due reference to the original author. So this is how plagiarism occurs. And as I said, types of plagiarism occurs, and many a times we are not aware of the fact that yes, this is plagiarism unless and until we have studied this. So paraphrasing is a very common type nowadays, that people use 2-3 sentences of an article, then write 2-3 sentences of their own, change 1 or 2 words, and do not give the credit to the original owner of that work, and we tend to copy. Now, how to reduce? There are ways in which the first, as I said, paraphrasing itself is there, quotations, citations, referencing, extra things. As far as citation and referencing is concerned, we will be dealing in our next lecture, that is bibliography, writing references, citations, etc. But paraphrasing, as I said. Now, what paraphrasing is? See, paraphrase is to include the ideas or information from an original source. True that we have to include the ideas. After all, if we are doing a research, remember one thing, we are talking of not talking of a search, we are talking of a research. So when we are doing a research, we have to include the ideas or information from an original source. But we have to be very careful that the ideas or information from the original source should not be in the original words, should be in your own words. That is important. the idea is of someone else, we will give him due respect by citations, but the idea should not be copied. It should be in your own words. It should be, in short, it is putting author's words into your own words. As I said again, that whatever I am speaking, am I speaking the words of any author? No. When you present, when you write, this is where you have to take care of that you write. Why should you copy? Why shouldn't you write in your own words? Is again maybe various reasons with you, maybe shortage of time or shortage of language. Paraphrase must mention the author's name and it should be cited in specific format. Now, even if you are taking an idea, even if you are taking in information, if you are writing a few sentences of the original author in the original words, please do cite in a specific format. Do not mislead. Many a times, the researchers have a tendency of copying from one place and citing some other source so that they are not caught. ये भी एक बहुत अच्छा तरीका ढूंढ लिया लोगों ने, लिखते किसी की किताब से हैं, साइट कुछ और करते हैं, अगर हम उसको ढूंढने निकलेंगे तो हमको मिलेगा ही नहीं, और अगर मिलेगा ही नहीं तो फिर तुमने उसको कॉपी किया और लिखा कैसे? फिर ये और बड़ी पनिशमेंट है, बिकॉज यू हैव रिटन द आइडियाज और इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफ समवन, बट एट द सेम टाइम you have given a wrong source कि आप पकड़ में ना आए, लेकिन उसमें ज्यादा पकड़ में आ गए क्योंकि आपने जो सोर्स लिया उसमें वो है ही नहीं, तो मतलब आपने और गलत कॉपी कर लिया. Then it is not deleting or changing a couple of words in an original statement. Remember, I've given not deleting. It is not deleting or changing a couple of words in the original statement. If you are writing word by word, not deleting or changing a couple of words in an original statement, it is complete paraphrasing, and hence, as I said, cite. Within inverted commas, like people say, quote, unquote. So cite, quote there. But if you say that it was his idea, it was his information, I have read thoroughly, and now I am writing in my own words, howsoever you are using 2, 3, 4 words in a row without quoting, then it will be construed as plagiarism. Now people will say, sir, कि 2 शब्द भी नहीं लिख सकते हम उसके, 4 शब्द, अब शब्द तो वही रहेंगे. Now again, let me make it clear. The sun rises in the morning. अब बोलो सर ये तो सब लोग लिखते हैं, अब हमने भी तो यही लिखा था, sun rises in the morning. करेक्ट? तो क्या ये प्लेजरिज्म में आ जाएगा? अगर आपने किसी के आर्टिकल से ये वर्ड लिख रहे हैं कि द सन राइजेस इन द मॉर्निंग, यू कैन मेक द सन राइजेस अर्ली, द सन राइजेस मॉर्निंग, द सन विल राइज. अब आप बोलो सन राइजेस तो हमने लिखा ही है, लेकिन सन राइजेस, सी देयर आर जनरल वर्ड्स व्हिच आर यूज्ड इन जनरल सिनेरियो, and it is not some author's specific words. Let us be very clear here that we are talking of some author's specific idea or word. General notions, general words which comes from nature, etc., do not come under plagiarism. You cannot say कि sir उसने भी लिखा था sun rises early, हमने भी लिख दिया sun rises early. Now is this a copying? No, it is not true, because certain things happens naturally, and he also has taken the source as a natural source. So here, after that, when he explains what exactly he means by sun rises early in the morning, and if you are copying also the same, then it amounts to plagiarism. So paraphrasing is possible, and we all somehow the other paraphrase, but paraphrase means read and write in your own language, own words, own ideas, own concept. Maybe you differ sometimes with the original author, maybe you agree with the original author, but you should write in your own words without copying. And hence, if you have copied, please do give due respect to the author. Now, tips for paraphrasing. How can you do that? Read the passage several times to fully understand the meaning. As what the earlier speaker was also saying, review of literature. When you review of literature, read it fully. And the biggest problem is understand the meaning. Read तो कर लिया, लेकिन समझ में नहीं आ रहा तो क्या करें? और लेना जरूरी है, क्योंकि वो पॉइंट ऐसा लग रहा है कि हाँ लेना चाहिए. लेकिन समझ में नहीं आ रहा तो अपने वर्ड्स में कहाँ से लिखें? तो उसको समझिए, अपनी भाषा में ट्रांसलेट कर लीजिए, जिस भाषा में आप परफेक्ट है उसमें ट्रांसलेट कर लीजिए। फिर जब आपको अंग्रेजी में ट्रांसलेट आप करेंगे तो अपने आप ही वर्ड्स अपने आप आ जाते हैं। अगर आप ओरिजिनल को अपने लैंग्वेज में ट्रांसलेट करिए, फिर से रीट्रांसलेट करिए पढ़ के उसको, तो जो शब्द आप यूज करेंगे वो ओरिजिनल से अलग हो जाएंगे। एंड ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड द मीनिंग एंड देन राइट इन योर ओन वर्ड्स। नाउ नोट डाउन द की कॉन्सेप्ट्स। उसमें कौन कौन सी चीजें हैं जो आपको लेनी है, जो आपको लगता है कि ये इंपॉर्टेंट है। की वर्ड्स की बात नहीं कर रहा हूं, की कॉन्सेप्ट्स, की आइडियाज, की फ्रेजेस, की सेंटेंसेस, कि ये पॉइंट है इंपॉर्टेंट, और ये इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स को जनरल भाषा से मुझे अलग करना है, जिसको मुझे अपनी भाषा में, आई हैव टू गिव इट इन माय ओन लैंग्वेज। सो नोट डाउन द की कॉन्सेप्ट, दैट दीज आर द की कॉन्सेप्ट्स, these are the key words, these are the key phrases, these are the key sentences. Note them down and then eliminating them, write them in your own language. Now write your version of the text without looking at the original. Remember, we have the habit, बहुत सारे लोग, हम लोग बहुत सारा काम ऐसा करते हैं कि पढ़ लिया, उसके बाद वो सामने खुला हुआ पड़ा है, फिर हम करने लगते हैं। If you are commerce students, remember, हम लोगों को एक आदत होती है कि क्वेश्चन को बुक से देखते हैं और उसको सॉल्व करने बैठ जाते हैं और उसका सोल्यूशन सामने है। अगर कहीं अटक जाते हैं, व्हाट वी डू इज वी रेफर दैट, हाँ यही तो कर रहे थे, कर नहीं रहे थे, कर लेते उसके बाद चेक करते ना, कर रहे थे नहीं है, यू वर इन डाउट। सो राइट योर ओन वर्जन ऑफ द टेक्स्ट विदाउट लुकिंग एट द ओरिजिनल। पढ़ लिया, अब उसको बंद कर दीजिए, बंद करने के बाद खुद लिखना शुरू करिए, क्योंकि अगर आप उसको ओपन रखेंगे so wherever you will be a short of word, you will try and pick up, okay, this is the word, or you will see a dictionary and change the words, you will use a synonym, and when you use a synonym, many a times the meaning changes. So you read that text, close that book, and then start writing on your own. Do not use treasures to change the author's words. यही बात मैं भी कह रहा हूं कि जैसे अगर आपके पास ओरिजिनल पढ़ा होगा तो आप उसमें से कोई ना कोई फ्रेज, कोई ना कोई ट्रेजर्स, कोई ना कोई वर्ड पिकअप कर लेंगे, और या तो उसके आप डिक्शनरी सिनोनिम ढूंढ लेंगे, और सिनोनिम ढूंढने में कहीं ना कहीं, एज आई से नॉर्मली, two words which I normally use, long and tall, they do both denote length, but horizontal and vertical. अब ये नहीं कह सकते the man is very long and the road is very tall. अब long और tall है तो दोनों length, तो इसीलिए ऐसी गलतियां हो जाती हैं कि लॉन्ग की जगह टॉल वर्ड यूज कर लिया और बाद में पता चला कि उसका अर्थ का अनर्थ हो गया। सो डू नॉट यूज अ ट्रेजर टू चेंज द ऑथर्स वर्क। नाउ कंपेयर योर पैराफ्रेज टेक्स्ट विद द ओरिजिनल पैसेज। वंस यू हैव रिटन, कंप्लीटेड दैट, देन ट्राई एंड कंपेयर एंड मेक माइनर एडजस्टमेंट्स टू फ्रेजेस दैट रिमेन टू सिमिलर। क्योंकि जब हम पढ़ते हैं, जब हमने उसके की कॉन्सेप्ट्स बना लिए, जब हमने उसके की सेंटेंसेस ले लिए, तो फिर हमको वो वर्ड्स याद रह जाते हैं और फिर लिखते समय हम वो कई बार फिर से लिख जाते हैं, क्योंकि हमारे जहन में वो वर्ड्स बैठे हुए थे। हमने की कॉन्सेप्ट्स को बहुत हाईली अंडरलाइन किया हुआ था, हमने की वर्ड्स को अंडरलाइन किया हुआ था, और जब फिर हम लिखने लगते हैं तो वो की वर्ड्स, की कॉन्सेप्ट्स फिर हमारे जहन में आते हैं और फिर कहीं ना कहीं वो हम लिख जाते हैं। तो कंपेयर योर पैराफ्रेज टेक्स्ट विद द ओरिजिनल पैसेज एंड मेक माइनर एडजस्टमेंट्स टू फ्रेज दैट रिमेन टू सिमिलर। बहुत करीब करीब जो रह जाते हैं उनको हम फिर चेंज कर दें, करेक्ट। देन फाइनली साइट द सोर्स वेयर यू फाइंड द आइडिया। इतना करने के बाद भी इफ आई साइट इट प्रॉपरली दैट दिस इज द आइडिया आई हैव टेकन फ्रॉम दिस पर्टिकुलर बुक, this particular article, this particular research paper, and in case you have used certain phrases within inverted commas, if you write and quote that this is his own idea, not my idea, this is the original author's idea, then you will be saved from plagiarism. You can, as I said, there is no restriction in taking words, phrases, ideas, etc. There is no restriction. But that does not mean that your complete research work is someone else's work and you say, okay, it is his work, but I am writing it. No. So in case you have taken certain phrases, certain senses, cite the source where you find that idea, the phrase, the quotation, the sentence, you cite that and give due credit to the original owner of that idea. Now, quotation. The difference between a paraphrase and a quotation, as I said, paraphrase, I said, writing your own words, but when it comes to quotation, it is an exact copy of a group of words from a research source without any changes, as I said, full stop, comma सहित. आप पूरा के पूरा, जैसे हम लोग definitions लेते हैं, पूरी की पूरी definition ले लीजिए as is, where is. Sometimes जब आप कुछ भी लिखने लगते हैं, it becomes too long और उतना बड़ा आपको चाहिए ही नहीं रहता. You are just trying to give me an idea. ऊपर की 2 लाइन और आखिरी की 2 लाइन मेन मतलब की हैं, तो 2 लाइन अलग अलग नहीं उतारिए from first to the last, but उतारिए केवल 6 लाइन. And why and how do we do that? A quotation is an exact copy of a group of words or a research, although some words from the original source text may be left out of a quotation. मैंने कहा ना, लेके Z तक, अब बीच में 1 लाइन, फिर 2 लाइन, फिर 1 लाइन, फिर 2 लाइन मुझे जरूरत है. अब उसको काट काट के मैं जोड़ूंगा या बार बार करूंगा, पॉइंट 1 2 3 4 5 ऐसा ना करके, कॉपी फ्रॉम फर्स्ट टिल द लास्ट, बट यूजिंग एलिप्सिस इन बिटवीन. आपने कई बार देखा होगा बीच में 2 ब्रैकेट बना देते हैं और डॉट 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 डॉट. दैट मीन्स इसके बीच का बहुत सारा पोर्शन जो हमारा उपयोग का नहीं था वो हमने छोड़ दिया. हम लिख रहे थे that this is a noun is a name of dash 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 finally taken from this. तो जो 2 ब्रैकेट्स के अंदर डॉट 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 है, that means I have left over some idea, some concept, some phrases in between which was not very important to me or which was not to be presented here. But howsoever, when you go through this quotation, you can from the original source read what is missing there. But for me, it might not be important, क्योंकि 10 पन्ने का है, 5 पन्ने का है, बहुत सारे मुझे sentences बीच बीच पे लेने हैं. तो writing an ellipsis in between, you can copy the words that are copied must be exactly the same as those from the source. Now, again you will say ये तो plagiarism है. Yes, it is a plagiarism, no doubt about it. But as I said, if you are taking the exact words, citing where you have taken from, giving due credit to the person, does not amount plagiarism because of the fact that you are not stealing and saying that it is yours. Plagiarism does not mean that you cannot write, you can. But stealing that and saying that it is your idea or a concept is plagiarism, and that is punishable. So what here you have to do is take word by word everything that is normally. Take word by word everything. When I say here, we normally take definitions. We normally take a particular policy, we normally take the framework of a particular policy, and hence we can take that this is how people have defined, like as I said, Wikipedia, Oxford Dictionary, Chambers, we can take words from there, but we'll have to give due credit to the original source. But remember one thing, if you are quoting something, it should be exactly the same words, may they be wrong. ओरिजिनल ऑथर ने गलत लिखा होगा, मुझे मतलब नहीं है, क्योंकि अगर आपको ये भी प्रूव करना है कि वो गलत है, तो मे इट बी रॉन्ग, यू हैव टू कॉपी द एग्जैक्ट वर्ड, करेक्ट. एंड इफ यू आर लीविंग सम वर्ड्स इन बिटवीन, यू कैन लीव सम वर्ड that should be in ellipsis, but you have to cite the source. So this is the difference between a quotation and a paraphrase. Now, quoting a source, if you use an author's specific word or words, you must quote the text exactly. We have already discussed. A direct quote must be included in quotations. That is, within inverted commas, you will have to quote whatever. Quotes must mention the author's name and be cited using the format specified as what he has used in a tabular form, in a paragraph form, in a table form, in a graphic form, whatever form you are taking. You have to mention the author's name and cite using the format specified, that this is the format in which this is the article, this is the page number, this is where I've taken from, and you have to cite a specific format. Now, direct quotations are normally having 3 parts. One is Albert Einstein, Ideas and Opinions, source. Where have you taken? That is Albert Einstein, Ideas and Opinions. No, what he quoted there, the wit was not wrong. Who defined education in this way? Education is that which remains if one has forgotten everything he learned in school. I have taken word by word Albert Einstein's idea. So I have in inverted commas without leaving anything. So Albert Einstein's ideas and opinions, this is where I am quoting his word and opinion. Where have I taken that? Now see the tag, that is I have name, the website, date, page number, etc. Ideas and opinions, Einstein. It is a PDF form. It is on page number 63. Complete tag I have given. If you go into this tag, you will find what have I given here. And hence, direct quotation should have three. First is source, कहाँ से ले रहे हैं अपन, फिर क्या कोट कर रहे हैं, और फिर उसका टैग कि आप जाके ये रेफरेंस साइट है, यहाँ जाके देख लीजिए, आपको ये पूरा मिल जाएगा, मैंने उसमें कोई गलती नहीं की है. मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूं कि मेरा है, ये उनका आइडिया है, ऐसा उनका आइडिया है, उसके बारे में नाउ माय ओपिनियन में कंटिन्यू, बट दिस इज आई हैव कोटेड दिस एंड दिस इज द टैग वेयर आई हैव टेकन इट फ्रॉम. क्लियर? This is important. People say, when in doubt, don't do it. Correct? If you are driving and somebody is overtaking you or somebody is coming at a higher speed across on the opposite side, if you have a slightest of doubt, what you say? When in doubt, don't do it. Why take chances? सामने वाला बहुत स्पीड में आ रहा है, सामने वाला लग रहा है नशे में, सामने वाला लग रहा है कि उसको चलाते नहीं मान रहा. I am in doubt, and if I am in doubt, do not do it. Here, if you are in doubt, लग भी रहा है, do cite. ये नहीं कि मुझे डाउट है कि ये सही है या नहीं है, ये तो मेरे ही वर्ड्स लग रहे हैं मेरे को. No, please, if you are in a doubt, do cite. That is important so that you are safe. Either don't do it, as I said, when in doubt, don't do it. Or if you have done it, please do cite. Do not leave it without citing. Now, what is a citation? Though I have to continue this in brief, I'll tell you, because this is in bibliography also. When we use another person's idea in our research, we must include a brief notation next to that idea to let our readers know who developed it. Okay? So when in doubt, do cite. The brief notation is called in-text citation. There are two types of citations. In-text citation, जहां आप लिख रहे हो वहीं के वहीं साइट कर दो, या फिर एंड में जैसे लोग कहते हैं बिब्लियोग्राफी के साथ साइट दें, बट उसमें भी बहुत केयरफुल रहना पड़ता है. पेज नंबर इस पे साइटेशन और कोटेशन नंबर 34, उसका साइटेशन प्रॉपर होना चाहिए. सो एट द एंड ऑफ आवर वर्क वी इंक्लूड अ फुलर नोटेशन which provides details that allows another to identify and locate the source in which we found that idea. इसकी details कैसे citations देते हैं, कैसे उसको लिखते हैं, we'll be discussing tomorrow in details. Referencing भी कल ही करना है. Correct? Now, these are some of the plagiarism softwares. Many a times, people ask me, sir, ये plagiarize हमने की है कि पूरा हमने अपने वर्ड्स में लिखा, I have written everything in my own words, but still, before submitting, you can check, and there are few flag scan.